Imagine this. I want you to really picture the scene. It is, without a doubt, the single biggest day of your professional life.
The big one.
The big one. You have spent weeks, maybe months, preparing for this interview. You've ironed your shirt. You've even ironed it twice.
I've done that. The crease has to be perfect.
The crease has to be perfect. You've researched the company's quarterly reports all the way back to 2018. You know their CEO's dog's name. You have practiced your handshake in the mirror.
Oh, the handshake.
Until it's that perfect blend of firm, authoritative, but still approachable.
The Goldilocks handshake. I've heard it called that. Not too limp, definitely not too bone crushing.
Exactly. Just right. You are ready. So you walk into the interview room. The air conditioning is humming this low, ominous hum. You sit down across from the hiring manager who, let's be honest, looks a bit intimidating.
They always do.
They always do. You look them dead in the eye, and with total unshakable confidence, you open your mouth. You want to say that you're a serious, focused professional, but instead what comes out is, I am an incredibly boring person.
Oh no, that's just painful to even imagine.
And it gets worse.
Yeah.
Because then, just to really double down, you add, and I promise you, I will make everyone in this office very boring too.
It sounds like a standard anxiety nightmare, doesn't it? I mean, that's the kind of thing you wake up from at 3 a.m. in a cold sweat, wondering if you actually said that in a meeting once.
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
But the truly terrifying thing, and really the whole reason we're doing this deep dive today, is that this kind of thing, it actually happens.
All the time.
Real candidates, smart people, people with advanced degrees and tons of experience, they walk into these rooms and they assassinate their own character. And it's not because they're actually dull. It's not because they lack the skills. It happens because of one tiny 2-letter grammatical slip up.
It's the tragedy of the advanced learner. That's really what we're looking at today. You can have the most brilliant ideas. You can have high-level technical skills. You could be the most charming person in the world in your native language.
Right.
But if you mix up your adjective endings, or if you, say, translate a concept of possession when English requires a concept of existence, you completely change the entire psychological frame of the conversation. You're not the person you think you are in their eyes.
And that's exactly what we're unpacking today. We are taking a deep dive into a whole stack of materials from a high-level advanced learner session. So we're not looking at beginner stuff here. This isn't the cat sat on the mat English.
Yeah, this is the subtle stuff.
This is the psychology of personality adjectives. We're analyzing some fascinating role plays. We're dissecting these common pitfalls that even really fluent speakers can fall into. And we're going to look at the kind of high-level idioms that separate the functional speakers from the truly sophisticated ones.
And our mission here is really specific. We're not just going to read you vocabulary lists. I mean, anyone can buy a dictionary, right? We are trying to help you navigate the really tricky difference between describing how you feel versus describing who you are. It's all about moving from that good enough English to what we might call C2 level English.
The kind that gets you hired.
The kind that gets you hired or gets you the promotion or just makes people think, wow, this person really knows how to communicate.
So let's just jump right into the deep end with that nightmare scenario I mentioned, that classic mix-up, identity versus feeling. The source material we have really highlights this specific sentence. I am very boring. Now, can you just dissect this for us? Why is this such a common and devastating landmine?
Right. So to a native speaker or even just a highly fluent C2 level speaker, that sentence just lands with a thud. It stops the conversation completely dead.
And it's funny, right? I mean, there's a dark humor to someone just sitting there and so seriously, so earnestly claiming to be dull.
It is funny from the outside, but let's get into why it happens, because it's not random. It's actually quite logical if you look at it from the learner's perspective. You see, in many, many other languages, the distinction between the cause of a feeling and the feeling itself is, well, it's handled differently.
That's maybe implied by context or something.
Exactly, or the grammar works differently. But English is incredibly rigid about this. We rely almost entirely on the suffix, the ending of the word, to do all that heavy lifting. And that's where the source material breaks down this classic ing versus in rule.
Okay, let's really unpack this rule, because I feel like this is one of those things that people think they know, but they tend to slip up under pressure. It's one thing to get it right in a textbook exercise.
Like completely.
It's a whole other thing to get it right when your heart is pounding in a high-stakes interview.
Precisely. The pressure cooker of the interview room makes your brain revert to its most basic pathways. But the rule itself, in theory, is relatively straightforward. Adjectives that end in boring, interesting, tiring, confusing, they all describe the source.
The source.
They describe the generator of the feeling, the person or the thing that is causing the emotion.
The generator. I like that. It's an active concept.
Think of it like a movie projector. If you are boring, you are the projector. You are actively projecting that quality out into the world. You are the cause.
So if I walk in and I say, I'm boring, I am literally admitting that I am a boredom factory.
Yes.
I am actively causing other people to lose interest, to fall asleep.
You are the contagion of dullness. You're spreading it. Whereas the adjectives that end in "ade," like bored, interested, tired, confused, they describe the receiver.
The person on the other end.
Exactly. They describe the internal state or the feeling that you're experiencing because of something else. You are the screen the movie is being projected onto.
So I am bored means I'm the victim here.
Right.
I am suffering from a severe lack of stimulation.
Correct. I am bored creates sympathy. It's cry for help, almost. Please entertain me. But I am boring. That creates distance. It makes people want to get away from you.
The implications are just massive. And as the source material points out, this works in the positive direction too. And that can be just as dangerous, can't it?
Oh, absolutely. A different kind of danger.
Let's think about the flip side. Let's say you're in that interview. You're trying to show enthusiasm and you say, I am interesting.
Oh, that is a minefield. A total minefield.
Why? Because if you say, I am interesting, what are you actually claiming?
You're paying yourself a massive compliment, a very direct, unprompted compliment. You're claiming to be a fascinating person,
Right.
that you have this magnetic charisma. It's like saying, hey, just so you know, I am the most interesting person in this room.
Which, maybe you are. Who are we to say?
Hey, maybe you are, but in a professional context, or even just a humble social context, it sounds incredibly arrogant. If what you meant to say was, I am interested.
Meaning, I'm engaged. I want to know more about this job.
Right, I'm listening intently. But instead you say, I am interesting, you just come across as, well, as a narcissist.
Or just socially unaware. Like you don't understand the basic rules of conversation.
Exactly. Narcissistic, almost. I am so interesting, don't you think? Versus, I am interested in what you have to say. One of those sentences creates a connection. The other one builds a pedestal for you to stand on, alone.
And that really is the key takeaway from this first section of the data, isn't it? One letter. Literally, the difference between a D and a G changes the entire meaning of your sentence from a compliment to an insult, or from engagement to arrogance.
It's a high-stakes game of Scrabble with your own reputation. And the really tricky part is, when you're nervous, as we said, your brain defaults to the most common pathways. And for a lot of learners, that ing form can feel more active, more substantial somehow.
So they grab for it.
They grab for it by mistake, and in doing so, they shoot themselves in the foot.
So the mental check, the little voice in your head, needs to be constantly asking, am I the cause or am I the receiver?
That's a great way to put it.
Am I the radiator or am I the thermometer?
That's a perfect analogy. The radiator emits the heat. It is tiring or heating or, I guess, boring. The thermometer just reacts to it. It is tired or hot or bored.
Okay, moving on from that. That is the first major trap. But the source material points out another one that is, I think, maybe even more insidious because it sounds, well, it sounds almost correct.
Yes.
But it's just off enough to make you sound like a beginner, even if your vocabulary is huge. And this one seems to come from how we translate concepts of possession versus existence.
Yes. The great have versus be battle. This is a classic, a true classic marker of a non-native speaker.
I see this all the time in the notes from these sessions. The source flags a specific error, and it's a great example. I have confident.
Yes. If you're a native English speaker, your brain just sort of, it glitches when you hear that. It's like you're walking up the stairs in the dark and you step on a stair that isn't there.
But why do learners say it? It's not a random mistake, is it? There's a logic to it.
No, not at all. This is what we call a translation trap or linguistic interference. In so many languages, most of the Romance languages, French, Spanish, Italian, Portuguese, and many others attributes, these personal qualities, are often things you possess.
Right. They're nouns that you hold.
Exactly. You have hunger, you have patience, you have shame or cold or thirst.
Like in Spanish, you'd say, tengo hambre, which is literally, I have hunger.
Precisely. So the logic that's happening in the learner's brain is, okay, confidence is a thing. It's a quality. I possess this thing, therefore I have confidence. The logic is sound. but the English is wrong.
Because English logic is just different. We're sort of existentialists about our adjectives.
We are. That's a great way to describe it. In English, you don't possess the trait, you embody it. You don't have the quality of confidence stored in a little box in your pocket.
No.
You are confident. You exist as that quality. Your very being is confident.
So I have confident creates a kind of grammatical car crash because you're trying to use an adjective, confident, as if it were a noun, a direct object, after the verb have.
It's like saying, I eat happy, or I see tall. It just doesn't compute syntactically for a native speaker's brain.
So to fix this, the source says you basically have two paths. You can't mix them. You have to pick a lane and stick to it.
Right. Lane 1 is the most common, most direct way in English. You just be the adjective, I am confident, I am patient, I am creative, it's strong, it's clear.
And what's lane 2?
Lane 2 is for when you really, really want to use that verb to have. If you're stuck on that structure, you must perform a little bit of mental alchemy and turn the word into its noun form.
So you can't have the adjective.
You can't have the adjective, but you can have the noun. So you don't have confident, you have confidence.
I am patient, or I have patience. I am creative, or I have creativity.
Exactly. And the source material really highlights patience, specifically because it's such a frequent offender. A lot of learners say, I have patience.
And this brings us right back to the unintentional comedy of the interview room. If you walk into an interview for, say, a banking job, and you say, I have patient, what does the interviewer actually hear?
Well, what they hear is that you're a doctor, or maybe you're an ambulance driver. They hear that you are literally in possession of a sick person.
Yes, I have a patient right here in my bag. He's not doing well.
Exactly. Let me just get him out. It completely changes the context. And here's where it gets really interesting from an evaluative perspective. If I'm the interviewer, or even if I'm just chatting with you at a party and you make that kind of mistake, I have patient or I have confident, it immediately signals something very specific to me.
What's that?
It signals that you are translating in your head.
It breaks the illusion of fluency.
It completely shatters it. It reveals the machinery behind the curtain. It tells me, okay, this person isn't thinking in English yet. They're doing this constant mental math. They're taking the structure of their native language and just pasting English words on top of it like stickers.
Whereas correcting this, instinctively using I am for traits, is one of those really subtle shifts that makes a native speaker just relax.
It removes the friction from the conversation. When you say, I am confident, I don't have to spend any mental energy decoding what you mean. I just understand you instantly. And that builds trust. And trust is the currency of all good communication.
It's about removing any barrier between your brain and my brain.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've covered the big grammar traps, the mechanics. Let's say for our listener, you've mastered this, you're feeling good, you know the difference between boring and bored. You know that you're patient and you are interesting. You're ready for the next level.
The C2 level, the real advanced stuff.
And the next level up, according to our sources, it's all about dealing with the complexity of actual human personality. Because people are messy, right?
Yeah.
We're not just one thing. We're not cartoon characters who are just always angry or always happy.
Right. We are walking bundles of contradictions. I mean, think about it. I can be incredibly patient when I'm working on a complex problem, but I can be horribly impatient waiting in a traffic jam.
Totally. I can be really shy at a big party where I don't know anyone, but I can be the loudest person in the room with my 3 best friends.
Exactly. And this is where the source material moves into what it calls the art of nuance.
And the problem they identify is that less advanced learners often list these conflicting traits side by side. Like a grocery list. They'll just say, I am shy and outgoing.
And when you hear that, just flat out, I am shy and outgoing, what's your immediate gut reaction?
My gut reaction is, you're lying. Or you don't know what those words mean. It sounds mutually exclusive. It's like saying, this water is both boiling and frozen. My brain can't compute it.
It creates cognitive dissonance, right? Your brain flags it as an error. Without any connecting language, it just sounds disjointed. It sounds like a split personality or like someone who just isn't very self-aware.
But the truth is, most of us are both shy and outgoing, just, in different contexts.
We are. So the C2 level skill here isn't about finding a new fancy SAT word for shy or outgoing.
No.
It's about using contextual qualifiers to build a bridge between the two ideas.
It's not the adjectives that save you. It's the bridge you build between them.
That's a fantastic way to put it. The source actually gives a specific formula for this. You need to use time-based qualifiers or frequency qualifiers, words like initially, or I tend to be, generally, or once I.
Let's look at the example they provided because it's so clear. Instead of that flat, jarring contradiction, I am shy and outgoing, they suggest this rewrite. I tend to be shy initially, but I become quite outgoing once I get to know people.
Just feel the difference in how that lands. It's huge.
It's a story now. It's not a list of facts.
It paints a picture of a journey. It's dynamic. It acknowledges that your personality isn't a fixed state. It shifts depending on the environment and your comfort level. It tells me, as the listener, okay, this person is an observer first, but when they feel safe and comfortable, they open up.
It turns a contradiction into what feels like a logical progression.
And I think most importantly, it shows self-awareness. It tells me that you understand how you operate in social situations. That is an incredibly sophisticated and impressive thing to be able to convey, especially in second language. I am shy is just a label you're sticking on yourself.
Right.
But I tend to be shy initially is an introspection. It's an analysis of your own behavior.
I love that distinction. A label versus an introspection. One is flat, the other has depth. One just categorizes you, the other invites the listener to understand you.
Precisely. It builds that connection we were talking about.
Okay, so this brings us to the main event. We've got the grammar sorted, we've got the nuance. What does this all mean when the pressure is on the big day, the interview?
Where the rubber meets the road.
Exactly. And the source material we have is brilliant here because it provides an actual script for a bad answer and a C2 advanced answer to that dreaded open-ended question. So tell me about yourself.
This is where it all comes together. This is the practical application of everything we've just discussed.
I really want to walk through these because the contrast is just, it's so stark. It's almost painful, actually.
Let's do it. It's a valuable exercise.
Okay, let's look at the bad answer first. I want you to imagine the candidate. They're nervous, they're sweating a little, they want to be honest, and they say this: I am nice. I am a very boring person sometimes because I work hard, I have patience, and people say I am funny.
Oof, okay. Let's get the scalpel out. We need to perform an autopsy on this answer.
Where do we even begin? There are so many things going wrong here.
Well, let's start with the vocabulary choice. The very first thing they say is, I am nice. Nice is what I call a filler adjective. It's a completely empty word. It doesn't mean anything in a professional context. A puppy is nice. A cup of tea on a rainy day is nice. A sunny afternoon is nice.
It's vanilla. It's the default setting. It tells a hiring manager nothing about your actual value. Are you effective? Are you a leader? Are you innovative? Nice says none of that.
It's worse than vanilla. It's invisible. It's like placeholder text in a document. It just takes up space without adding any information.
Okay, what's next?
They drop the bomb. I am a very boring person.
The fatal error we started with. The character assassination.
You can almost hear what they were trying to say, can't you? They probably meant to say they're serious or focused or disciplined.
Right. I don't mess around. I get the job done.
Exactly. I take my work seriously. I don't clown around at the office. But what they said was boring. So now, as the interviewer, the only thing I'm thinking is, do I want to sit next to this person for 40 hours a week for the next 5 years? Absolutely not.
You've just talked yourself right out of the company culture, even if your skills are perfect.
Completely. Then, as if that weren't enough, they hit us with the grammar error. I have patient.
The triple threat of failure.
It is. Now, I know their English is fundamentally shaky. So we've got weak vocabulary, a catastrophic meaning error, and a basic grammar mistake, all in about 3 sentences.
And the true tragedy here is that this person, they might be an amazing software engineer. They might be a brilliant accountant with years of experience.
They might be a genius.
But their language is making them sound incompetent, socially awkward, and linguistically weak. It's a massive barrier that's hiding their actual talent.
It is. It's a wall they've built in front of themselves.
Okay, now let's cleanse our palate. Let's wash that awful taste out of our mouths and look at the C2 advanced answer. This one is just, it's smooth.
This is the goal. This is what we're aiming for.
The candidate says this: I would describe myself as a conscientious and detail-oriented professional. Colleagues often tell me that I'm reliable under pressure. While I can be a bit reserved initially, I pride myself on being a team player who is always willing to muck in to get the job done.
It's night and day, isn't it? It's like we're in a different universe.
Let's break down exactly why this works so well, starting with the vocabulary. That first word, conscientious. That is a heavy hitter. That is a $10 word right there.
Conscientious is a beautiful, beautiful word. If you take one word away from this deep dive today, maybe make it that one. Because it doesn't just mean you work hard. Hardworking is It's okay, but it's a bit physical, bit basic. Conscientious is moral.
Moral. How do you mean?
It implies a sense of duty, an internal drive. It means you care about doing the work well because you believe it's the right thing to do. It signals deep integrity. A conscientious person will check that spreadsheet a third time, not because the boss is watching.
But because they can't stand the idea of an error getting through.
Exactly. It's about their own internal standards. It speaks to internal motivation, not just external pressure. And that is incredibly valuable to an employer.
That is powerful. Okay, what about detail-oriented?
Well, that's a specific skill set, isn't it? It's not just a vague personality trait. It says, I see the small things. I catch the mistakes that other people miss. It's concrete.
And then look how they handled the shy aspect.
Yeah.
They didn't say, I'm shy. They said, I can be a bit reserved.
Reserved. It just sounds so much more dignified, doesn't it? So much more professional.
It really does. Shy sounds a bit like a child hiding behind a parent's leg at a party. Reserved sounds like a thoughtful diplomat.
It suggests you're an observer, you're thoughtful, maybe you hold your cards a little closer to your chest. You're not afraid of people, you're just selective about when and how you engage. And of course, notice the qualifier that comes right after it. While I can be a bit reserved initially,
There it is again, the formula, the bridge we talked about.
acknowledging the trait but immediately limiting its scope. It's so skillful.
But I think the real star of the show here, for me, and I think for the source material too, is that little idiom they drop in at the very end, muck in.
Yes, muck in.
I absolutely love this phrase.
It feels very British to me, very earthy.
It is. It has agricultural roots, mucking out the stables. It literally means dealing with the muck, the dirt, the manure.
Not a glamorous job.
Not at all. And that's the point. In a business context, what does it signal when you say you're willing to muck in?
It means you'll get your hands dirty with the team. You'll help out with the grunt work, regardless of your job title or your status.
It's the ultimate anti-diva phrase.
It really is.
It says, I might have a PhD from a top university, or I might be the senior manager on this team, but if the printer runs out of paper, or we need to move some boxes, or we all have to stay late to finish a report, I am right there with you in the trenches.
It's brilliant because it balances the high formality of a word like conscientious with this incredible warmth and humility. It humanizes you. If you just said, I am conscientious and detail-oriented, you might still sound a little bit stiff, a bit like a brilliant but unapproachable robot. That phrase muck in says, and I'm also a good person to have a coffee with.
The source calls this a hireable answer, and I can absolutely see why.
Yeah.
It hits every single button. Competence, integrity, self-awareness, and team spirit, all in one neat package.
It feels authentic, and that's the ultimate goal, isn't it? To sound like the best, most articulate version of your authentic self.
Okay, so speaking of being human and authentic, the source material shifts gears a little bit here. We move out of the high-pressure interview room. Thank goodness I was starting to sweat.
Me too.
And into a more relaxed setting. We're at the pub or the coffee shop. We're talking about our friends.
Which is so important. You can't talk like you're in a job interview all the time. If you go on a first date and say, I am a conscientious professional who is always willing to muck in, you are absolutely not getting a second date.
You are definitely not getting a second date. That is a guarantee.
You need the right language for the right context. You need colloquial language for your real life. You need idioms that paint a vivid picture of someone's personality.
And to teach this, the source introduces us to two character profiles, two friends named Mark and Sarah. Let's talk about Mark first.
Okay, so Mark is the archetype of the extrovert. He's the outgoing one. And the source uses the idiom social butterfly to describe him.
Social butterfly. It's such a visual image, isn't it?
It's perfect. You immediately picture someone flitting from flower to flower. And in a party context, that's exactly what it means. It's someone who moves easily from conversation to conversation. They don't get stuck in the corner talking to one person all night.
They know everyone.
They seem to know everyone. They're high energy. They're just fluttering around the room, making connections.
But then, really interestingly, the source pairs that idiom with a second one for Mark. They say he's also down to earth.
And this is a brilliant contrast because down to earth means you're grounded, you're humble, you're realistic. It's the absolute opposite of having your head in the clouds or being arrogant.
So Mark is high energy socially, the butterfly flitting around, but he's grounded in his actual personality. His feet are on the earth.
And that combination is incredibly magnetic. People love a social butterfly who doesn't act like they're better than everyone else. Think about the celebrities that people really like. It's usually the ones who seem down to earth, despite being incredibly famous.
They seem reachable, like you could have a normal conversation with them.
Exactly. So if you describe your friend as a down-to-earth social butterfly, you're describing a really great, popular, but also very likable guy.
Okay, so then we have Sarah, and Sarah's the opposite. She's the introvert. And the source describes her as an old soul.
I love this description. An old soul. It's so evocative.
What does that actually mean, though? Because it doesn't just mean she's elderly or acts old.
No, not at all. An old soul implies a kind of wisdom or a maturity that seems beyond their actual years. It's someone who appreciates the quiet, timeless things in life.
So she'd prefer a paperback book and a cup of tea over a loud techno club.
That's the perfect image. Maybe she gives really good, thoughtful advice because she tends to see the big picture. She's not caught up in petty drama.
She has a certain gravity to her personality.
Yes, exactly. But then they add this lovely layer of vulnerability to Sarah's character. They say she wears her heart on her sleeve.
Which is another fantastic idiom, so visual.
It is. The story is that it comes from medieval jousting tournaments, where a knight would tie a lady's favor, like a handkerchief or a ribbon around his arm, on his sleeve. So it was a public declaration of who he was fighting for, who he loved.
So today, it means emotional transparency.
Total emotional transparency. If Sarah is sad, you know it. Her face shows it immediately. If she loves something, her joy is obvious. She doesn't hide behind a mask of indifference. She doesn't play games with her emotions.
So we have that contrast again. The old soul, which implies a certain quietness or reserve, but then the heart on her sleeve, which implies total emotional openness and honesty.
It's a really lovely, complex description, isn't it? It makes Sarah sound like someone who is both deep and incredibly authentic.
The source also makes a point of noting that these two types, Mark, the social butterfly, and Sarah, the old soul, often form very close friendships. The classic opposites attract dynamic.
It's the classic sitcom formula, isn't it? The loud one and the quiet one. The chaos and the anchor.
It is, and it works really well as a language learning tool because it helps you remember the idioms by associating them with a specific, memorable archetype. You can ask yourself, okay, is my brother a Mark? Is my coworker a Sarah?
Exactly. You're mapping the language directly onto the reality of the people in your own life, which makes it stick.
Now, before we wrap this all up, we have to talk about execution because we've just given you, our listener, a lot of heavy artillery here. Conscientious, muck-in, social butterfly, wears her heart on her sleeve. But the source material comes with a big flashing warning label on this crate of ammunition.
And that warning is, don't force it. Please, for the love of good conversation, do not force these phrases.
We've all met that person, right? The language learner who learned a new idiom yesterday and is now trying to shoehorn it into every single sentence, whether it fits or not.
Hello, I am a social butterfly. May I please order a coffee? I'm very down to earth, you see. It sounds robotic. It sounds like an AI that's malfunctioning.
It sounds rehearsed. And nothing kills connection faster in a conversation than sounding rehearsed.
The strategy, according to the source, is all about natural placement. You don't need to use the idiom to prove that you know it. You use it only when it is genuinely the best and most efficient way to describe the situation or the person.
So if your friend is actually just quiet, you should just say they're quiet. Don't call them an old soul unless they really have that specific quality of wisdom and maturity that the idiom implies.
Exactly. Accuracy always beats complexity. The idioms are the spice, not the main course of the meal. And if you put way too much spice in the soup, the whole thing becomes inedible.
I like that analogy. Don't overspice your English.
Use the simple, strong words, kind, quiet, friendly, funny as your base, and then just sprinkle the idioms on top for a little bit of extra flavor and color when the moment is right.
So let's recap the main course today. We've really covered a lot of ground.
We have. We started with the fundamental grammar of feelings versus traits, that critical boring versus bored distinction. Remember the projector versus the receiver?
Then we looked at the have versus be distinction. In English, you are your adjectives. You don't have them.
We talked about the art of nuance, using those little bridging words like initially or I tend to be to explain the contradictions that make us human, like being both shy and outgoing.
And we looked at the real power of specific, high-level vocabulary. Swapping a weak word like nice for a powerhouse like conscientious. using an idiom like muck in to show humility and team spirit, and of course, identifying these social butterflies and old souls in your own life.
It's really a toolkit, isn't it? It's a toolkit for moving from being just a person who speaks English to being a person who can truly communicate personality in English.
The source material actually suggests a little homework assignment, which I think is a great challenge for all of you listening.
Yes, the challenge is to write a short description, just a paragraph of your best friend.
Try to use some of the phrases we've talked about today. Is your best friend a down-to-earth social butterfly? Does she wear her heart on her sleeve? Is he reliable under pressure?
And please, pay attention to the grammar. Make sure you aren't saying your best friend is boring unless you really, really mean it.
Yeah, unless you're actively trying to end the friendship. My dear friend is very boring.
And I have patience with him.
Please don't do that. So here's a final thought I want to leave you with, something for you to mull over. We've talked a lot today about how these words describe you to other people, how they can get you hired or how they make you sound more engaging. But I wonder, how does using the right nuance change how you perceive yourself?
That's a really deep question. That's taking it to the next level.
Well, if you stop labeling yourself with a simple word like, I am shy, and you start thinking and saying, I am reserved initially, but I warm up once I'm comfortable, do you stop seeing yourself as somehow defective and start seeing yourself as just complex?
Language absolutely shapes thought. We know this from linguistics. If you upgrade your vocabulary for yourself, you might just upgrade your professional confidence along with it. If you start thinking of yourself as conscientious instead of just hardworking, you might actually start taking more pride in those details.
That's where the real power is, I think. Not just in the interview room, but in your own internal monologue.
Couldn't agree more.
Well, that is all for this deep dive. Go forth, be conscientious, muck in, and for heaven's sake, be interesting, not interested. Wait, no.
Be interesting and interested. Both.
Here we go. That's the one. See you next time.